This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to what is our last meeting of the Mono Police Services Board as a Section 10 board. And any future meetings will be with the Melancton, Mono, and Mulmer Joint Board in a date that is yet to be determined, and makeup is yet to be determined, etc. So we'll probably meet again. Oh, there's John. Is that the late Mayor Creelman? The late Mayor Creelman, how are you?
I was having trouble dialing in. I have no idea.
No, okay. So anyway, as I was saying, this is our last meeting as a Section 10 board. The next meeting would be with the joint board at a date that would be determined. We will meet again in June as per our schedule as in an advisory capacity to the new board and to wrap up whatever has to be wrapped up at that time. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we move on. Is there any member of the public on the call? Moving on, we have the agenda, which hasn't changed. I've expanded some of the points, but the agenda is the same. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes.
Moved by Wayne, seconded by John. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. And motion to approve the minutes or any, I guess we've all reviewed the minutes of the last meeting and have a motion of approval. John, seconded by Wayne. All in favor, opposed, carried. Inspector De Pasquale sends his regrets. He's on an urgent matter, and so our operational commander, Mr. Best looking hair in Dufferin County, John Bulligan, is with us today. No question period. So there's no matters arising from the last minutes. The next item on the agenda was the traffic safety emergency declaration, which I think we're all aware of, by Mayor Creelman. Mayor, any comments on the progress of that, how it's been spreading like wildfire across the province?
Well, I'm happy to report that we are getting motions of support from small and large municipalities. The latest large municipality being the city of St. Catharines. Town of Caledon has voted to support. There's a handful of smaller townships and towns that have already supported, and it's very early on in as much as these motions have to find their way onto council agendas, and I expect quite a few in the future. I've also had discussions with some of the major municipal organizations in the province, and they are not only supportive, but they're very excited by what we've done here in Mono.
That's great. Any questions for the mayor?
John, do you think in terms of like as a way governments are moving slowly and everything, do you think with that kind of support from other municipalities, towns, is going to help put some pressure on them to get some motion on some of those items? Or I mean,
I think so. I hope so. At first blush, it looks a little extreme to be declaring a quote, an emergency. But on the other hand, everybody understands our frustration because they've experienced their own. The government has recently responded to a letter that I sent over 2 months ago with a form letter, if you can believe it. So I think we've hit the right note with a number of municipalities who've just almost given up trying to get anywhere with influencing the Ministry of Transportation or the government in general. The other thing that I'm told is that there may be some attempt on the part of the government to come forward with a traffic safety legislation of some kind in the spring. So our timing is probably very good for that. The question is keeping up the momentum. And I was turned down flat in an attempt to meet with the Minister of Transportation at the rural municipalities meeting a few weeks ago. But subsequent to that, and thanks to the efforts of our MPP, the minister's office did call and offered to set up a meeting in Toronto sometime in February. So I'm still awaiting that meeting. And of course, now we have something very tangible to talk about.
Good, good. That sounds a little progression anyway. It's slow. It's like pushing water uphill. So
Very true.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next item, moving along quickly, is the status updates. Ministry letters. We did receive a copy of a letter that was sent to the mayor and the CAO from Superintendent Phil Whitten from the OPP, advising that with the changing our status as of April 1st, that the billing process will continue. And in fact, the town of Mono has signed a 2-year extension or a 2-year agreement to continue with OPP policing. And the letter also states that they will be in discussion with us to determine whether we, as the town, wishes to continue with the enhancements to OPP policing service, which we, of course, will be continuing. And they will be contacting us in the future about that. But we are grandparented into having enhancements, so it's not going to be an issue for us. On the same topic of the existing board and switching to the new board under the new CSPA, I did send a note of concern to Dwayne Sprague about lack of information, and I believe I've copied you in on the response from Dwayne, or Dwayne actually copied you folks in on it. But for John's Staff Sergeant Bulligan's information, basically things are still sort of a mess, would be my term, and not really sure about a lot of things. But what we know for sure is that we no longer are a board as of April 1st, and our only purpose after that is to clean up our affairs to pass on to the new board. Now, in fact, we don't have anything to hand over. Everything is we don't really have files or things like that. So the handover is going to be fairly easy. And I did reach out to Fred Simpson, our clerk, and in fact, Dwayne I suggested to Dwayne that the clerk should. Hi, Shay. What? Hello.
Sorry, Mike, to interrupt. I do have about 3 banker's boxes of files that were dropped to me from Colette, who had done the secretary position before me. I haven't gone through any of it, but there's quite a few documents. I don't know what happens to those.
So that will be something that the clerks will decide when they determine what has to be determined basically. And as I was saying, there has been a discussion has taken place between Fred Simpson and Roseanne from Mulmer and Denise from Melanchthon. And what they're discussing is things like remuneration, how the new board, which we made up of the mayor of each, or a council rep from each municipality, and a citizen rep, and one provincial appointee, yet to be determined. But they're going to look into discuss remuneration, so how that will be apportioned, who the board secretary is, whether it's rotated around, and not being Cheyenne from for the first one, and other administrative matters, which would be the paperwork and any files that are in place, and the election of the chair. So I don't know what they have in mind. I asked Fred, they're going to make notes up. I asked Fred to get back to me, hopefully for this meeting, and he didn't. So we'll hear more about that as we go forward. So really, there's nothing for us to do at this time other than wait for them to determine who's on the board. So this would be as a result of this group and the clerk group, the administration of it, who's going to post the minutes, where they'll be posted, all these questions. Are the joint board minutes going to be put on all three municipalities' websites, or is there going to be a separate website? I don't know. That's not our board's responsibility to determine. That's up to the towns to fight that out among themselves. I haven't heard from any of the other board chairs. I'm going to send an email to them just to let them know where we are and what information we're waiting for. I'm sure they're aware of what their clerks are doing. And that's about it. Any comments on all of that mess?
No, not really.
Okay. So it's just less meetings for Staff Sergeant Bulligan to have to go to anyway. And on the topic, since we're on that topic of the folding down, etc., I had suggested before, and I didn't really get any feedback from the mayor or anybody about a continuation of some sort of a public safety or a police service committee in the town of Mono that would take care of would look at the interests of the town and then pass that on to the joint board. So it would be something where whoever the mayor and whoever the citizen appointee from Mono is, and perhaps another citizen or member of council meets to discuss items of concern that can be then elevated up to the other higher board. So, any comment on that, John?
Mr. Chair, I'm all in favor of that. And to the issue of the posting of the minutes and that sort of thing, I think we must maintain the same degree of transparency going forward as we have in the past. So I think you can count on our support to have some kind of advisory mechanism in place to ensure that the joint board continues to reflect Mono priorities.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how this is going to work, because like our minutes would go to council and then council would receive the minutes. So do they go to all three councils? And what if one of the councils doesn't agree with the minutes? So this whole thing just sort of is bedazzles me.
I think we would take the position that once the minutes are agreed to, they're posted, and they would presumably have to be agreed to by all three councils. I can't imagine a circumstance where there'd be some kind of objection, but we'll face that when we get to it. But I think we do publish the minutes reflective of the activities of the joint board, just as we have handled our own board.
Okay, and I think we should also reserve the right, or at least identify that there could be a need for us to hold a special meeting before the uh, dissolution on April 1st in the event that there's information of a joint nature that needs to be discussed or decisions made. So we can leave that open at the call of the chair that we could potentially have to hold a special meeting of the board before our dissolution.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other discussion on that mess? Okay. Now to more administrative matters. Madame Hancock and the alarm report.
So I was able to total all the false alarms that we had for 2023. We had 96. What I did notice is from October, there was 7, November was 7, December 5, January was only 2. So hoping that now we're receiving the reports on a monthly basis and I'm getting those letters out right away, that homeowners are aware that we will fine after the third alarm. And they seems to be a trend that's moving down, which is good news.
That's good to hear. And this just leads me to another question. When we go to a joint board, do each of the boards report out the alarm results, or do we just leave that as a council related matter since it is a council revenue tool? Anyway, okay. Motion to receive the alarm report. Wayne, and seconded by John. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. No representative from the Community Policing Committee with us, so that was their last meeting with us. Over to you, Staff Sergeant Bolligan, for your highlights and your just some general comments on the strategic plan, action plan, progress reports. Anything you happen to know that might have been passed on to you for this impromptu meeting?
Nothing on the action plan, if that's what you're asking about.
Yeah.
I do have the report that I could speak to. I was able to look over it quickly. So with the calls for service, it's ironic, it's not ironic, but we spoke of it at the last meeting. The first spike I see is theft of motor vehicle. There's a substantial increase this year from last year, and I could speak of measures in addressing that afterwards if you want. Other drastic changes, I mean, drugs, there's a drop, and I tried to dig into why, but sorry, I couldn't come up with an answer. But anyways, that's a positive drop, not necessarily a negative one. The part 3s, part 1s, they appear to be consistent. We're pretty much aligned with 2022. So I don't see any drastic changes there. One thing I'll bring up, I'm just trying to see if it's in the report, but ride hours. I just want to highlight, so for that quarter, that was obviously during the festive ride period. We were second in the province for OPP for ride hours. So we had a substantial amount of ride done during that time. I believe 21 impaireds during that time frame, during the festive ride. So we did quite well there for ride stats. And not in the report, but I always like to bring up staffing. Very positive outlook. So next week, and I had mentioned next week we have 4 new recruits coming. In May, we have another 4 recruits coming. And in between that, there are 2 additional members coming from elsewhere. So 9, 10. So we're looking at 10 new officers between now and May. There's always the risk that some may leave during that time, but it's a positive outlook there. So that's really it. Sorry, brief, but if there were there any questions, yeah, fire away.
Yeah, I note that the year-end weighted hours is just a little less than last year, but that's good. So for billing purposes, we're getting good value for our money for sure. I think we're getting a lot of Orangeville cars are doing enforcement in Mono as well, so their time is getting billed to Orangeville, but we're getting the benefit of their of their radar and their plate system, so that's a good thing. I did notice, I was looking at the accidents, and we're killing a lot of deer in this township still. That seems to be one of the highest areas of concern for the cause of PD accidents within the township here. Nothing we can do about that. But
Yeah,
other than
that's
that,
a tough one.
now how about those? What are we doing to stop people stealing Chevy trucks and Dodge Rams from driveways?
Well, I could go on quite a while about that, but I'll keep it short. But it's actually very positive around the corner. So, and I don't know if I mentioned before, but I wrote a grant for auto theft. Now I wrote it on behalf of the region, and we received the grant of $500,000. So initial steps, I'm in my initial steps of this, but you will see more proactive enforcement on hotspots. So i.e. your the dealership areas when those issues come up. So it essentially be paid duties. So enhancements like a ride, it'll be a paid duty, target enforcement using our analytics to determine where to put the officers and when. There's education campaign. I'm working with CAA and Equite, which is the investigative branch of the Insurance Bureau. Basically, there's going to be a grand launch of this. It's called Project Clasp, August 2nd. And that's when you'll really see what it's all about. So I could go on and on, but there's big positive impact. And because I wrote the grant, let's just say Dufferin's going to get a little bit of, yeah. Anyways, address our needs. So again, August 2nd will be the grand launch of that, and yeah, positive steps on that.
Yes, if you're very successful, there'd be a considerable drop in vehicle sales for replacement vehicles at all the dealerships. So they're probably not going to be happy about this.
No, well, yeah, the dealerships, as we said the last time on Highway 9. So I had sent a follow-up email to Chan. We did engage all the dealerships there through what we call Project Safeguards, which is crime prevention through environmental design. Speaking to them, our auxiliary officers spoke with them about how to mitigate those issues. And then we topped that up with what we call focus patrols during the evening. And, whether the bad guys plan on coming back or not, they didn't come back. So for now, anyways.
That's good. The definitely there's a need for those dealerships to look into SEPTED because they're quite lacking. Some of them are okay, but like Parker's is okay because they have proper barricades and gates, but the others pretty much you can drive in and hook up a tow truck and take away the entire showroom for that matter. So yeah, any SEPTED advice that you can give them is good. I'm a SEPTED practitioner, so I know what you're talking about.
Nice.
Okay. Any questions to Staff Sergeant Bulligan on the final report?
I have a question that is, maybe I should save it for the end, but it comes to mind now, and I don't want to forget the thought. We invested in a Black Cat for deployment by the OPP as they see fit. What happens with the new board in terms of that kind of equipment? Does it get shared, or does it continue to be deployed in the municipality that purchased it?
From what I would understand, it's your equipment.
Yeah.
And we're not, the other municipalities there's no talk of pooling the Black Cats. So it's your equipment. As far as I know, it's not something you have to turn in.
It's the same as the enhancement. It's ours.
Excellent. And just to follow up, if I can, do you ever deploy it on a provincial highway?
I'll have to get back to you on that. Since I've been here, I do not know of it being on a provincial highway. They're usually on the county roads or in subdivisions. So I have not seen that, but I could check if historically, if it's ever been, and I'll get back.
No, historically it never has. I've got all the reports
Okay.
since we've got it, and it's always been on county or town roads.
That's my recollection as well, but I asked the question quite deliberately, as there is a commitment from MTO to do a study of Highway 10, starting in the Caledon section and then subsequently the Dufferin section, and some Black Cat statistics on Highway 10 in particular, but also potentially Highway 89 and Highway 9, I think would be very instructive. I don't think the town would object to use of the Black Cat in those areas.
And I do recall you put that question at the last meeting, and I did forward to an email to MTO, a manager in there, offering any data to them.
Yep.
She replied, but they haven't asked for anything yet. So I did offer, if they needed anything with respect to any studies on Highway 10, that we would facilitate it. So the offer's there as you had requested.
I appreciate that, and I think the use of the Black Cat, it doesn't have to be extensive use, but the use of the Black Cat on Highway 10 in particular strengthens our argument in the event that the MTO report comes back and basically says, from an engineering standpoint, there are no issues there. Well, there may well not be from a highway design standpoint, but there certainly is from a speeding standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their last evaluation there was a lot I disagreed with. I responded to that when they did that eventually, but I didn't hear back or anything. But they just thought that they were correct. I just couldn't believe some of the statements that were in the last report.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Wayne.
It's very disappointing, in my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm just wondering that
the one that really surprised me. That I'm thinking, well, how does stuff get to Owen Sound? And I don't know. Anyway, it's manipulation.
We could be putting OPP into a difficult position if we're having them put the Black Cat on the provincial highway without, I guess, the discussion or input from MTO that they approve of us doing that. There may be some issues there if they think that we're trying to second guess them or going behind their back or anything like that.
Would there be any value if we were to write to MTO and say that we hope that as part of their analysis of Highway 10 that they deploy a Black Cat or similar technology to measure speed, put the ball in their court?
I think that would be the more preferable route, I think.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, but where the section of Highway 10 that's in mono, why in terms of, couldn't we put it there if we wanted? Because it's, or
well,
be politically incorrect.
Well, this is the question, because in fact it's on MTO right away.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and although it is in the town of Mono, it's on their right of way. And they get very upset about things getting put on their right of way. Uh, Speaking from experience with our home and garden show, because we put signs up, they take them all down. We put them back up. They take them all down. We put them back up. Coming up on April, the first weekend of April. So it's a game, but they don't like stuff being put onto their property. Now, even though it's the OPP that's doing it, they might say, "Well, why are you doing it?" Well, the town of Mono wants us to do it. Well, they don't have any right to do that. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, but it might be more of a problem. And I think your diplomatic um, suggestion, Mayor Creelman, to uh, suggest to them that that might be a method for them to add to their methodology might be appropriate if they're not doing it already.
Consider it done.
Does that work for you, Steph?
Yep. Just bear in mind, if we do put it out, I mean, we don't, during the winter, it's problematic because of the
Oh
cold
yeah,
and the battery it doesn't last long. So it'd be a spring thing.
yeah.
Understood.
It's on
Their,
vacation.
their review of 10 in Dufferin doesn't occur for some time, so we have lots of time on it.
Okay.
I think the cat's been deployed to Florida for the winter anyway. It's being used by the Dade County Sheriff's Department. That's a good idea. Maybe we could make some money that way, just renting it out for the winter time. Okay. Any other comments on the all matters OPP? Okay. Motion to receive the oral report from Staff Sergeant Bulligan. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That was Wayne and John Shy. Okay. Correspondence. We did receive a resolution from the Orangeville Police Service Board with respect to uh, intimate partner violence and gender-based violence. So they created a resolution to their council with respect to it. I believe it's gone to our council as well. So I believe we'll let council pass any resolutions with respect to that. But I think we could have a motion to support the Orangeville Police Services Board resolution. Does that sound appropriate? Yeah, Wayne?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So motion, Cheyenne, would be to that the the Mono Police Services Board supports the Orangeville Police Service Board resolution with respect to intimate partner violence and gender-based violence. Seconded by John. Any discussion? Yep. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Was there any other correspondence, Shai?
Nope,
Negative?
everything was
Okay.
attached.
Okay. So new business. So we do have the joint, what's left of I guess our last joint police services board meeting with all the boards is being held on March the 8th. That's being held in person in Amaranth as well as online. I'm going to try and drag my sorry butt into in person for that. And after that, I'm sure that the joint meetings will take place, but they'll be with a reduced amount of boards, be down to 4, I guess. It'll be Shelburne, Orangeville, the 3 M's, and then the whatever's left. Okay, any other new business? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I meant to mention this earlier, but I'm wondering whether this board might consider a motion of support for the road emergency motion with the objective of circulating it to other police service boards in Ontario. That, I believe, would add some degree of strength to the motion. The province would be receiving that from both municipalities and remaining police service boards.
Yeah,
Before
how
I
would you,
move that motion, go ahead. I would just let me try a motion on for size that this police service board supports the Town of Mono's declaration of a road safety emergency, and I would ask that it be circulated to the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards so that the membership can consider and hopefully support it.
sounds good to me. I'll second that motion. All in favor?
I would just mention that one of the components of that motion is reference to a report that was done in 2011 on unpaid POA fines. And that report was done for the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards. And there's quite a lot of interest in resurrecting that report because it had incredibly good information in it, as well as practical solutions to deal with the issue. I mean, over $1 billion worth of unpaid POA fines, not to mention the victim surcharge monies, which would probably total in excess of $200 million, I think is a public disgrace. And the point that I make to everyone is that if we could better collect on POA fines, that money flows directly into police budgets.
Can you work with Shay on a wording for the suggested letter to the OAPSB?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that motion was carried. Okay, any other new business? So do I have a motion to confirm the proceedings of the meeting of the Mono Police Services Board held today, February 7th, 2024? Mover, Wayne. Seconder, John Creelman. All in favor? Opposed, carried. And a motion to adjourn at 1:44. Motion to adjourn.
Just before we adjourn, Mr. Chair, just on behalf of the town of Mono, I'd like to thank you in particular, and Wayne, of course, for your service on our standalone police service board. You've been a long-standing member, and the town is truly appreciative of the work that has been done by yourselves, as well as the various representatives of the police service over the years.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
My question sometimes right on contributing, but I hope something, I hope. Anyway, so thank you, John.
And Wayne does have his name in the hat again to the Public Appointment Secretariat for the whoever gets picked for the next board. And if we do have a local police committee, I would suggest that Wayne would automatically continue on in that position.
Yeah, I'd be interested if that's where we go. And I'm watching for the other day when I checked, there was no posting for these joint boards. I'm not sure as this transition happens, there's a lot of details missing. I guess I could write Dwayne had a contact a person who they may know who's when it might be posted. It was in that email from Dwayne, so maybe I'll send an email
Follow up. Yeah.
when postings might happen, so then I can pursue it. And
Yep. Because I think only one of the other towns currently has a provincial appointee. So
yeah,
anyhow,
I don't think that's what I think blank. I think that's what it was anyway.
okay. So we had the motion to adjourn from John, seconded by Wayne. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thanks, everyone. We will meet again on at least on June 12th as a committee, not as a board, but just to close down or to follow up or whatever needs to be done. Hopefully this April 1st does carry on. Not sure that it will, but that's the direction that we have, so we're following the directions. Thanks, staff,
Mr. Chair.
for yep.
I was just going to say I was neglectful in not mentioning Cheyenne and her work and the work of her predecessors to support this board. Thank you very much.